Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant here for MMA Heat. I am talking with Bellator Featherweight champion Julia Budd, who is taking on Cris Cyborg at Bellator 238 champ. This is a massive fight. This fight, I'm like getting all tingly just thinking about it. This is a fight that fans of women MMA have been so looking forward to. How do you feel about the opportunity to face Cris, the woman who a lot of people think is the best ever?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I am super confident. I had an amazing training camp, and I've been getting ready for this fight for my entire career. So I feel really ready.
Well, yeah, how does that resonate, right? Because she has been a figure that for a while now has not been in the same organization as you, right? So how did you feel about the prospect of this fight ever really actually coming together?
Well, I feel great. I kind of knew when I did my contract with Bellator last March that she was, as soon as she was done with UFC, they were going to be in talks, and I was super excited about that. And my whole career, I've always wanted to face the very best in my division and the very best female fighters that I possibly can get in there with and learn and evolve. And that's kind of been why I love mixed martial arts in the first place. So when she signed, I was super excited, and it was something that I didn't want to wait for. I didn't want her to get in there with another fighter, or it felt weird having her a part of Bellator and us not facing each other right away. So I'm so excited. I'm excited for the opportunity to headline the card in LA, and it's been amazing getting ready for this. So
yeah, well, it really is. You know, she brings a lot of extra eyeballs to this too, right? So this is going to be something that for you, obviously you've been killing it over there, but it does give you a new opportunity to introduce yourself to a new audience that maybe hasn't seen you yet. Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel that way. I feel like this is kind of another introduction of myself to the world and people that might not have known me before. And it's an opportunity for me to go out there and have the best performance of my life and against a amazing number one contender.
Yeah. Well, you're right, though. It would have been kind of weird to have her over there. It's not like, and I don't, when I say, nobody is a tune-up fight, right? But it doesn't make sense, really, for, Cyborg to go over there and have to fight anybody but the champion. It does make the most sense. And then also, you know, people are like, you see a rematch, you could see a trilogy. Like, the fact of the matter is that the two of you could do this for a while now. I mean, do you think that's a possibility?
Well, people have asked me that in some of my interviews and stuff, and I don't see anything past this fight. This is like it for me. So I of course, maybe that comes down the road, but I never look past, you know, this is like I've poured everything into this camp and everything into making sure that I go out there and get the W, and I do it with, you know, an amazing performance that nobody questions. So that being said, sure, maybe if down the road, if that's kind of what pans out, but never looking past it. And this is kind of it for me. So I'm excited.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very big deal in and of itself. You know, stylistically, how do you see the matchup going? Cris is a woman who was so dominant for such a long time, but you are unbeaten in 8 years. So there's a lot of dominance there as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you always got to be prepared for everything in this sport. You know, if I go out there just expecting her to want to stand and trade punches and she shoots a takedown, and you know, I gotta be ready for everything. So that's kind of just been my mentality going into this fight, is be ready for everything, but also really trusting in my skills and what I bring to the table, and my skill set.
Well, and so for those who don't know, like, you know, I ask fighters this sometimes because, you know, if we're at the desk and we're saying this and this about you, and I always wonder, the people like, no, that's not what kind of fighter I am. You know, like we'll say like somebody's a pressure fighter, and maybe they think of themselves as a different kind of fighter. So in your own words, like, how do you describe your fight style?
Well, I think that I'm really well-rounded now. I've been called a wrestler, and I've never had a wrestling base before. I was a Muay Thai fighter before, and then I've been called a striker. So it's kind of interesting. But basically, I love putting everything together, and I love capitalizing on my opportunities. And really, I'm comfortable anywhere that this fight goes, and being comfortable. And this was about, like, going to all those places that that I'm uncomfortable or not training or not really working at it and making them my strengths. So I feel really, really good. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of need to be ready for everything with Cris, even though primarily, she is a striker too. Now, did you see anything in her fight with Amanda that gave you some cues? I mean, obviously it was a very short fight, and we don't we didn't see a lot. We knew Amanda is a great striker as well. But are there things that you saw in there, or even just in other fights? Because some people, I think Jana went 5 rounds with her, right? Felicia. So there have been some women now who've taken her a little bit deeper, right? So what have you discovered about Cris and where the holes might be?
Well, I think that I think that you can take away a lot from a short fight like the Nunes fight, but also I'm preparing for the very best Cris Cyborg. So I watched all of her fights that she's absolutely dominated. I've watched all of her best fights. I've watched the fights where I feel like I could see a lot of holes or things that I could capitalize on. But at the same time, I think that her fight with Holly Holm and Felicia Spencer and Nunes, it shows that she's human and that I think before she's had this illusion around her of, that people are super intimidated before they even get in the cage. And I think that if we had fought each other, 10 years ago, when I was first stepping into the MMA world, I would have been fallen into that trap. Yeah. But something that experience and being in martial arts for as long as I've been in and being around the sport and watching her so carefully, because when I stepped into MMA, she already was like 6 or 7 and 1 or whatever her record was. And she already had a big name in the sport. So I knew stepping into this and knowing that this is my weight class and I can't go down on weight. I can't go, this is my weight class. Yeah. So I've studied her a lot over the years. And I think that it adds to my experience and knowing that, what I'm facing a human being with 2 arms and 2 legs. It's not the aura and the whole, illusion around it. And I think that, that's just me being, as experienced as I am, I can peel those away.
Yeah. Well, no, but you're absolutely right. I mean, there was times where Cyborg, she was it. She was so, everybody was so afraid of her and she was so dominant and she's winning fights so quickly. But you bring up a good point about, your division and how you're saying you can't go down. Like, you're absolutely shredded. Your body is amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
What? If anybody is not already following you on Instagram, they really need to be, because it's really inspiring and intimidating, but inspiring.
Thank you.
But, the featherweight division at Bellator, you've been there for a while now, and that's something that over at the UFC hasn't really clicked in as well. People, there haven't been as many women there. It's been a division that people have kind of gone in and out of. So what do you make of it over at Bellator, and do you think that that's maybe where 45ers are going to thrive the most?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And from the get-go, it was the best opportunity. When I signed with them in 2014, and they were committed to building the 145 division, and it's coming along, and I feel like we're signing even more girls, and there's more excitement, and there's going to be it's going to even take another step this year to even grow and be even bigger than it was. Right. But I feel like we've got the best female fighters at 145. I'm proud of my place in Bellator and where I've been and being the champ for 3 years, and I'm protective of that as well. Like, I feel like this is my home, and that was another thing is her signing and coming over. I was making sure, I was like, okay, well, there's a lot of hype around her just signing and coming in. We need to fight right away, and I need to prove who I am in the division, who I've been for Bellator. So it was extra motivation.
Very nice. Well, and you and I were talking before we started rolling here that we did an interview together years and years ago. And I believe we called it is Julia Budd the next Gina Carano or something like that, right? We'll definitely have to throw this up for throwback, but people can find it here on my channel. But, that is something that in women's MMA especially, it's across the board because people compare Israel Adesanya to Anderson Silva, right? But at the time, Gina was the context for what an MMA fighter could become. So now looking back all this time, how close are you to, what you wanted to be? I mean, I think being champ undefeated for a long time is probably pretty much there, but your ideas, your perception of what the career could be versus where you are now.
This is me being the world champion was a lifetime goal of, me as an athlete and wanting to be a champion since I was a little kid. And, now being here and being able to, defend my belt 3 times and being the 4-time world champion, it's a dream come true. And it's something that I am at this moment, I'm 100% all in, and being the best mixed martial artist that I can possibly be. I don't look past that, but I mean, with the way that the sport's going and the popularity and how much it's grown over the years, I feel like sky's the limit, but at the same time, this is all I want. Yeah. And this is something that I that I pour my heart and soul into every day. So this is it for me. Like this fight is like, you know, I other people might be wanting to look at boxing, WWE, whatever it might be. That's cool. And maybe in the future, but not while I'm wanting to be the very best. And that's why I'm here. So
very nice.
That's
well,
it.
very nice. But you know, you do work with Viacom, who's pretty good at putting people in TV shows and movies and stuff. So I could see you in an action movie in the future. Yeah. I still haven't checked out The Mandalorian yet, though. I need to see that.
Oh my God. It's
I'm just psyched for Gina. Like, I feel like when Gina does well, it's good for everybody. Like, it feels good.
She did amazing too. She did amazing. It was such a good show. We were hooked on it.
Nice. Very nice. So. Very nice. Well, awesome. Well, Julia, I am going to ask if you can play No Wrong Answers with us, where we get you some random questions. But thank you so much for joining me today, and best of luck in your title defense against Cris Cyborg.
Thank you.